The Fresh Cut Bros.
What are we going to talk about?
It feels, I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't ever have a plan.
You know,
Do you have a plan
I don't have
for
a
my
plan.
podcast? You're going to be my producer moving forward.
Let's see.
That's what everybody preaches. I should have a producer.
Well, I just got hired. We'll see if I don't get fired by the end of it.
Yes. So what's your plan of action for this Chewsday special podcast? I don't necessarily know that you'd be the producer for the Chewsday special podcast.
No, you do
For all the
you're
wrestling
doing well.
stuff.
You're doing well on
I
Chewsday.
don't know this. The well is the right word.
I don't know about your decision making as a whole. I mean, am I your first 2-time guest? I mean,
maybe.
I was on episode 3.
Well, no, because Nick and Joel had been on my podcast before, and then we had the Cane Punch reunion that all 3 of us did it. So technically, they're the first 2-person.
Okay.
Good try, though.
No, but I did. I started over there. Now I'm over here. I take up a lot less room, have a shorter beard.
Yes.
Just got a haircut. So,
I know. Did you get your haircut yesterday?
Yeah, I did.
Yes.
It was the first day back. So that
Yes. I got my haircut yesterday at 8 p.m.
I got mine cut.
Not yesterday. It was Friday. My bad. Friday
Mine
at 8
was
p.m.
11:15 a.m. Like, they opened up the salons back, and my friend / hairstylist Kristen messaged me, can I cut your hair on Saturday at 11:15? I was like, yeah.
You damn right
Yes,
you can. What? It's weird because I feel like I like the cut. It's my usual like side part, comb over, like douchey heel hair. But I feel like no matter if she could have fucked my hair to like.
It didn't matter
like
what she did to it at this
but it's
point.
just like I think it looks great. Just
Oh, yeah.
because I had a bird's nest. Like you go to my Instagram, you see a bird's nest that was on my head.
Oh, man.
was
Only
like
if these
Justin
people
Bieber.
could see what we saw earlier today.
Oh, yes. Yes. God
So-
bless. It's amazing. Like you see people. What's crazy is like have you seen Ryan Seacrest? Like on
No.
anything?
No.
Dude, he don't have that fresh cut like he always has. You see these people and you're like, man, now I realize how like manicured your head is all the
Well,
time.
see, I have, unlike you, I have thinning hair. And
Me,
like a
no, I have
receding
thinning hair.
hairline.
Look at this.
But it's like, so.
I just have a good way of hiding my thinning hair. That's what Kanitha, my hairstylist, she tells me every time, like, Patrick, you're getting thin on top. I'm like, listen, you just cut my hair. I don't pay you for your opinions. I pay you to cut my hair. The way
So-
I'll show you a picture of David Beckham. You cut my hair similar to that, and then I pay you. We move on. That's our relationship.
So, like Kristen yesterday, she cut my hair on the sides first and left everything on top. And I was
Oh,
like,
you
you know
should.
what? I was like, that's fine. Just clean it up a little bit.
Dude, so true. I was like, because my hair was probably like that long. If I pulled it out, it was like up to here on top. And I was like, after she cut the sides, like, man, part of me just wants to leave this top like
because
it is.
it's going away.
Because we got to a point, like this quarantine got you to a point where I always talk about I'm gonna grow my hair out, and I'm gonna grow my hair out, and then I get to a point where I'm like, I can't do anything with this. I need to cut it, and then I get it cut every time for the last 20 years, and like this quarantine made it so possible that I got to the point where I'm like, this isn't that bad. It's growing on me. Like having the long hair is growing on me.
Well, see, until I've known Kristen for a decade, but she hasn't always cut my hair because she's a person you have to set appointments with.
Oh God.
I'm not an appointment person.
You're a great sport clip kind of guy.
That's where I was going.
I want to get my hair cut. You show up, had some girl you've never met before cut your hair. You hope it's good,
and then you go, and usually you're disappointed.
Yes,
and
yes.
you're bad. So then I just started shaving my head. Then I grew it out, and that's when I had like the North Carolina indie wrestler undercut when I had it slicked back. And then now I go, and she makes me set an appointment. She's like, all right, well, you're coming in on this day. And I was like, all right, that works for me. Just tell me when to show up. Because I don't, especially with wrestling schedule now with the pandemic, like I'm leaving all my weekends open just like.
We have nothing to do.
We have nothing to do, but I don't want to miss it if it does. Like,
Yeah. You never know. You never know what's going to happen.
They're like, hey, do y'all want to plan a beach trip? I'm like, no.
I don't know.
No, I don't. I was like, because what if they plan a show? They're like, well, you can miss a show. I'm like, no, I've missed a lot of shows.
It's like anytime anybody plans a vacation, you're like, well, are we breaking any rules? Because like if we plan a beach trip, we can get to the beach, but are we supposed to go out to the beach? Can we go? Can we go in the water? Is like what I don't know the stipulations of is it worth driving 3.5 hours?
Like, yeah, and like the beach I can leave or take, right?
Yeah.
Because like I'm not a hot weather person. I'm a bigger guy. I'm not as big.
Yeah.
So, but like I actually.
Are you a mountain person?
See, that's the thing. Like I prefer the scenery of the beach, the weather of the mountains.
Scenery as in the beach, like sand,
Like,
water,
yeah,
or
sand, water.
bikinis?
I enjoy seeing
bikinis, booties, and boobs.
that too. When I went to Miami, we took a trip. I was 21. The rest of my friends were 20. We went down to Miami.
Oh, God bless you.
And I was the only one old enough to buy alcohol. And I would never buy it for my friends because they weren't turning 1.
Oh, I'm sure.
But, like, all we were talking about is we're going to go to Miami.
How old are you now?
See, I'm 33, about to be 34.
Oh, yeah. Just keep that same story until the statute of limitations up on that.
So the entire ride down, we're like, man, I can't wait to see thong bikinis on Miami Beach. We went down there, one.
Sorely disappointed.
Yeah, nobody wears them.
Should have went on a Wednesday. Should have went on a Wednesday. Thong Wednesday.
Thong Wednesday. I'll have to remember that. Wedgie Wednesdays.
But yeah, it's weird. Well, the thing is, when you go to a beach with thongs, you also are going to see a lot of Speedos. See, it's a give and take. It's a give and take. I've learned that.
But I mean, in the industry we're in,
yeah,
I see guys half naked more than I see
in
women half
Speedos
naked.
all the time.
That's the weirdest thing. If I'm scrolling in public, majority of my social media is half naked dudes.
Yeah.
So if somebody's just looking over my shoulder, they're like, "Well, what is this guy into?"
I had a bit about like, and this is no like homophobic thing, but I had a bit when I did stand up about how, in theory, from the outside looking in, wrestling is the gayest like form of entertainment or sport there is.
They're all spraying themselves down
yeah,
at each other.
Yeah,
and making sure
it's like it's you have to be. I don't know how anybody that is homophobic can be a professional wrestler, or anybody that's associated with it. But I can see if someone is homosexual, how they can be associated with it. But you know, you do understand what I'm saying? Like if someone's homophobic,
this is the weird. That's always been a weird dynamic to me. So like, the fans are largely. Now, I don't want to say largely, but you'll get a lot of the more homophobic, racist type fans, but the entertainers themselves are more the liberal fans. So it's always been this weird crossover.
It's a weird, yeah. Well, the thing about the thing I love about professional wrestling is it holds a special place where when you, for the most part, not all the time, but for the most part, when you walk into a wrestling, either it's an arena, like one of the big arenas WWE you're in, or like an independent wrestling, an armory, anything, like everything from outside just goes away. It's weird. It's like you're walking through this doorway that you throw everything that's bothering you on the outside away, and no matter like I don't how can I say this? They're not like throw all your beliefs, your different beliefs and different political stances and different
leave them at the door.
You leave them at the door, and you come in, and it's like just this own little world of professional wrestling. And that's the thing is this, and I think that's why whenever like the shit that you saw with that Hannah girl from Japan, talking about the girl that committed suicide. Yeah. Like, that's why when shit like that happens, people get so upset about it. It's because I don't know if it's unintentionally or we unintentionally or unknowingly hold that boundary around us that, listen, leave all your bullshit at the door when you come into our world.
Well, see, that's where social media is bad, right? That's the worst part about it. And we say it, and I kind of give this perspective because I'm just recently moving from a fan to behind the scenes.
Yeah.
Is that fair to say? So when you're here, you watch what you say, but then there's always that subgroup of people that'll sit front row or second row or third row and keep their mouth shut. But as soon as they're not around anybody and that Twitter machine and those Twitter thumbs start working, they're keyboard warriors, and they want to say the absolute worst thing you can possibly say.
Yeah.
And not everybody's built for that.
Yeah.
And not everybody should be. She shouldn't have had to deal with that. Nobody should have to deal with the bullying. And I get tired of where was the family at? You don't know if her family was there. You don't know if her friends were there. And you don't know what triggers somebody has. Yes. You don't know what they're going through. So if they're sitting at home alone and they're already in maybe a depressed state, or maybe they're down on themselves about something, and then they log on to social media and all they see is this hate, and all it is so some guy that lives in his parents' basement that's 53 years old wants to jack off and get a reaction to it.
Yeah.
I mean, that type of stuff.
Well, it's like you don't know. Like whatever happened to the mindset of you don't know. Like I was taught all the time growing up, and in the business that I work in, like anytime you pass somebody, you smile at them and say hello. Like that's mandatory. And the reason I was taught that is because you never know what somebody's going through. Like you never know if somebody's having a bad day. You never know if somebody thought about committing suicide the night before or that morning or planned on taking their lives later in that day. You've heard so many stories about like, listen, I had come to the determination that I'm going to take my life later in the day. And you stopped and talked to me and showed me that you cared. Yeah, and that changed my whole perspective on it. And it's like you have that ability for free to touch people's lives like that. And a lot of, and it might just be the way we're built because we work in an entertainment business, and a lot of what, regardless of what a lot of people think, a lot of what drives people like me to do the creative stuff and Brian to fund it and the wrestlers to wrestle is because you can make someone's day better. Yeah. You can impact somebody's life. You can impact somebody's experience, and you're a big part. It's like if I think one of the best jobs ever, although very hot in the summer, would be able to be one of the caricatures at Disney World.
Or you're just drawing people, making people happy faces.
Oh my God, dude! Well, no. Like you're one of the you wear the Mickey costume.
Oh, the character.
Like you
said
are.
Caricature.
Yeah.
I thought you meant
that's
like
what
the
I
little
will.
character.
Don't. This is my fucking podcast, bro. Don't correct me on my podcast.
I am the producer of.
Okay,
something
fair enough.
This.
Yes, you're my producer, so you can correct me. I'll let that slide. But like, think about every day you get to wake up. Yes, you're probably gonna be skinny because you're gonna sweat like crazy walking around the. I think they have a few different ones that take turns.
But how big of a flex is that? Like, everybody grows up a Mickey fan.
Oh, dude.
Imagine being Mickey.
You're one of the luckiest people in the world.
You make it.
But every day you show up and you get to brighten make 90% of the people that you meet, you're making their day.
Yeah. So
as this character.
So who would be the worst character to be? Like, who would you not want to be?
Pluto.
Pluto?
Because you got to crawl around on 4 legs. Well, I guess he walks on 2 legs.
I think
Pete maybe because the costume's so big. Listen, I'm up to date on my Disney characters because Little G. Like I watched 3 episodes of Mickey Mouse Clubhouse this morning. That's what I do every morning. And when he's acting a fool, pull up YouTube on the TV, Mickey Mouse Clubhouse. I always say Funhouse, Mickey Mouse Clubhouse.
See, my best friend, he has a kid, and she is in love with Frozen. It doesn't even matter if the volume is on. She can watch it with the volume off, and she'll just sit there. She's like 3, and she can repeat it. And I'm like, there's no volume. She's like, she doesn't care as long as it's on.
She just wants
TV.
to see Elsa. What's her name? Elsa.
Yeah, Elsa, Anna, Olaf.
Yeah.
My girlfriend.
You're on top of that.
So,
I don't.
Well, my girlfriend's in the
I
Frozen.
know them. I just don't know their names.
Well, I like Disney. I've always been Disney Pixar.
Oh, yeah.
Honestly, I was disappointed when Disney bought Pixar because I feel like Pixar's can kind of put on the back shelf, and I love Pixar films.
But Pixar movies are so good, though. Yeah, because they have... Like, Pixar movies were good before, like the Toy Stories of the world and this and that. But I feel like when Disney bought Pixar, like, the graphic work was still amazing, but the storytelling was 10 times better.
The storytelling is, but I just don't feel like you get the same amount of production out of. Like,
that's true.
I think there was more.
They're on that Disney schedule. Yeah. That movie production schedule of, and it also might come into play that it takes so long to make those movies because the computer animation takes.
Well, see, when
forever.
I was learning how to edit, I actually enjoyed keyframing. That was one of the
Jesus
things.
Christ!
And
what
everybody
the
thought
hell
I was
is
crazy.
wrong with you?
But I don't know. And so when I said it. I left it. I didn't do anything with it. I was like, I'm not going to make any money.
That's like borderline insanity.
Well, it is.
That's like liking geometry.
See,
Did you like geometry when you were a kid?
No.
Okay.
I was horrible at math.
If you would have said yes, I would have shut this shit down and I would have left and I would have never talked to you again.
Keyframing and matching stuff up is what I could just OCD on it for hours. Yeah. And then I left it alone. I didn't do anything with it, and I decided I wanted to start picking it back up. And I was like, man, I used to like keyframing. And then I was going to go research. No, just all on.
Like Premiere?
Yeah, all on Premiere.
God.
And it wasn't even Premiere back then. It was Final Cut. Final Cut is what I learned on.
Oh, that's what I learned on. I love Final Cut. I don't like the new Final Cut. I like Final Cut 7.
No, I've heard Final Cut. But I've only used Premiere. I heard Final Cut is shit.
There's one reason. Yeah, they simplified it too much. Like Final Cut used to be the movie production piece of equipment, but now, or a piece of software, but now they dumbed it down to where it's like a mix of iMovie and Final Cut Pro.
One of the shittiest things about Premiere and Final Cut and all this is you're 36, I'm 33 because I'm younger, healthier, prettier.
Off.
But there's like 11 and 12-year-olds making videos that we wish that we could make.
What pisses me off more than anything, I talked to Keith Mack about this last time I saw him. The fact that he can go on his phone
and make those videos
and make a video in like 5 minutes and post it pisses me off to no point because I cannot do that. If I want to make a video, that's a problem with this podcast. When I used to just put up a phone and record it, it used to drive me absolutely nuts because there's only one camera angle. I hate it. And I completely forget that this is an audio podcast, and that's the main driving form.
That's the thing is like I know you, so I should have known this was going to be filmed because I know Patrick and I know Chewsday.
Oh, yeah.
I know the product.
Yeah.
So I didn't comb my hair, and then you got here, you're like, oh, yeah, we're going to film. And I was like, I should have thought about that. But
where's your hat? I thought you were going to wear a hat.
Well, I got my hair cut, so I didn't wear it. Should I go get a hat? Does my hair look bad?
No.
Like,
I think it looks fine. That's why I didn't say when we walked in, my immediate thought was like, we both got fresh cuts. But I was like, I'm going to save it for the podcast. I'm not going to say anything right now. But I'm going to save it for the podcast, and the way I'm going to open is the way I did. And I'm going to, like, 2 fresh cuts in the house right here. We got 2 responsible MFers here wanting to look nice for our ladies.
Yes. At the first opportunity to get a haircut, we did.
Yes.
But, I mean, I don't know how much longer I could have gone. I was to the point where I was like, if this is going to go another 3 months, I was just going to shave it.
Have you ever had a man bun?
Huh? Yeah, I've had a man bun. You've known me when I had a man bun.
Did I?
But I wear hats all the time.
Oh, okay.
That's why. And I never really put it up because my girlfriend would do it as a joke. But like the ponytail, like it hurts. You have to put it on tight. Mm-hmm. I don't like being uncomfortable. So a lot of the times, like my hair would just be, I would have like a shorter version of the Skylar undercut. Yeah. And I would have a hat on under.
Gotcha.
Then I eventually cut it because it looks stupid with.
Like you forget when you see, like we see people with long hair all the time, and it's nothing new to us. I feel like outside of the wrestling business, if you see people with long hair, you're like, smokes a lot.
Yeah, he does.
Maybe drives a motorcycle. Depending on how well groomed that long hair is how nice the motorcycle is. Yeah, has leather chaps. Might be in a cover rock band.
It's true.
But like us, like when we get around wrestling, that's what's so weird about wrestling. Like when I get around wrestling, it's like, oh, it's nothing to see somebody with a man bun.
It's
like
normal.
It's nothing. Yeah, it's just like, oh, hey, what's up? You don't even think about it.
But there are people, and I'm not going to say any names, but there are people that have haircuts and stuff like that. They're like, they have to walk around like that in their real life.
Oh, God, yeah.
I was like,
Ethan Case. I love you, Ethan. I love you.
I didn't say anything.
But I think Ethan's personality, like,
Ethan
allows
Ethan.
him to
be fair, Ethan's gimmick is Ethan. Like, there's not much embellishment.
If you have the personality to walk around with the crazy haircut, then people, okay.
He's the shorts, no sleeves
guy.
The
weird thing is, this is where I'm transitioning because I had this conversation with somebody. It might have been like somebody on the podcast. Is like we're getting to that age now where you have to decide: is it like I try to think. I think about it all the time. Like I'm just now actually putting effort into this podcast. And wanting to see how successful it can get, and trying to get viewers, trying to get listeners, like and push it, and promote it. Like, but I'm 36. I'll be 37 this year. Like, where is the point where like you have to decide, like in the society that we grew up, doing this kind of stuff in front of cameras is okay at our age.
Yeah.
But like in the age bracket or the people like the generation before us would never be doing this at 36 years old. This is like a 20-year-old, like this is 20 to 25, get your shit out of the way, then go get a job, work in a factory.
Joe Rogan's 52 and just signed $100 million deal.
Oh, so, yeah. I mean, that's my driving force. Do I think that I'll be as big as Joe Rogan? Absolutely not.
Now, this is the benefit that you have for podcasts, especially in the wrestling world and entertainment world. Being 36, right?
Yeah.
So you're not a 21-year-old, 20-year-old experiencing things for the first time. You have experience in them. So you can talk to them to a broader and more knowledgeable realm than a lot of people.
Very true.
So that's where the age and experience comes in. Like me, so I'm 33, and I joke around. Like I did the podcast without a name, just generally because I just wanted to record the podcast with a friend, and I didn't feel like thinking about a name. So during the course of the podcast, I was like, we'll just call it Podcast Without a Name, and I made a logo.
I like it.
And that's what we did. But so my decision was, so to go backtrack a little bit, the wrestling being the escapist experience, I was so enthralled by it. As a kid, that's all I loved was wrestling. And then I got out of it when WCW folded, and WWE shelved it, and there was only the one option. I didn't know anything about independent wrestling, nor do I know if it was even any good back then. But then when I started getting back into it 6-7 years ago, which is weird because I always think it's like 3 years ago, and my Facebook memories remind me how long I've been around.
It goes by so quick.
But then I was like, it made me feel, because I was always, you know, when you feel like lost, like you're looking for something, you're not necessarily depressed, but there's something missing.
Yeah.
So wrestling and PWX for me fill that void. That's why I was always like, I want to figure out how this works. I want to figure out how to get in. So then I started showing up earlier. Well, what can I do to help out? Then I started picking up people from the airport. And I remember the first person I ever picked up was Juice Robinson.
Oh, God.
And
X16.
But you want to talk about somebody that's completely different when he's not around people?
Yeah.
Juice Robinson by himself, quiet, humble.
Yeah.
Hey, how you doing, sir?
Oh, he puts on the persona.
Around other people,
yeah,
he is flamboyant.
Oh,
Juice
he's
Robinson.
ridiculous. I love him.
But that's where I'm at now. 33, about to be 34, and I want to see where I can ride the roller coaster to. Hell, I've already worked because of you guys and because of the work that I've put in. I'm not going to shortchange myself. Not trying to sound cocky.
You should. It's all us. It's all us.
No, but there's some truth to that, right? I played music for Liger.
Yeah. Well, the thing is everybody, the way that you advance in your career is someone has to help you out.
Yeah.
So, like our belief, me and Brian, that we've talked about a lot, is whenever, like, there's people that put into motion us being able to work for New Japan. And without those people's recommendation or those people's good words and their referral to us or referring us to New Japan, it completely opened that door. So we feel like it's our duty to open the doors for people to help us.
And see, and that's exactly what's happening. Because think about, like I said, I am a 2-time guest here on Chewsday Special. Not everybody can say that, but
true.
This is episode 3 if you want to check it out. But
it's a good episode.
I've experienced a lot since then.
If you want to see the growth of this show, watch episode 3.
See, and it was weird because I remember being happy with that show, and then you bring on people like Pierce and Zane Riley and all that have actual good and entertaining stories, and I'm like,
listen,
shit.
Like, I've learned. I remember when I first started doing podcasting, the first podcast I ever did was the most terrible thing I've ever done in my life, like from a creative standpoint, just by like overall product. And then me and my friends started doing, like, I had a buddy that we did like all podcasts I've ever started last like 13 episodes. And then it's like, this is too much. Or we take a week off and then we just never pick back up. Like I had the Saucer Nerds that we did at Flying Saucer in Charlotte that me and my buddy Jeff did. He's been a guest on the podcast, and we used to go to the Flying Saucer and sit on the couch they used to have out front. Did you ever go to the Flying Saucer?
I went to the one in Columbia.
Okay. So they have one in Charlotte, and they used to have a couch, like a little sitting area in the front, and you could just go sit over there if you want to and order food. And me and Jeff, that's when I bought this thing, which was like 6 or 7 years ago, the H4N, and we'd go. Hook up.
I'm glad that you mentioned that because when you were just looking down, pointing, it looked like you were just talking when I bought my junk.
But we used to go. I just hooked 2 like handheld mics to that bad boy, and we just record a podcast talking about stuff and trying 3. We tried 3 beers that we never tried before. And
is that what sprung Beer Bros TV?
Yes. And then the Beer Bros TV, before the Beer Bros TV, me and Joel and Nick started the Cane Punch podcast, which to this day we're talking about starting it back up. But to this day, it's still one of the funnest podcasts I've ever done, and it's on iTunes. It's called Cane Punch Podcast. So funny.
The most fascinating thing about you to me is how you find the time in the day to do what you do because you do Chewsday, you edit all this stuff, you have a normal job, you have a kid, you have a family.
It's no sleep and staying up late. And trying to schedule out. It's helped. Well, I think the reason I like doing so much is because it helps me schedule out my days. So, me and Dutch have been filming the Wrestling Open Forum on Tuesdays or Thursdays. So, the last 2 weeks we've filmed them on Tuesdays. So, if I do them on Tuesdays, then I know I can record the Chewsday special either on Thursday or Friday. But now, every other Friday, I decided I wanted to do that Take It Home show just because I want to do an interactive show on the internet, on Facebook Live. So, every other Friday is going to be taken up. But the good thing about that is, 10-year-old goes to school, Sai goes to school, baby goes to daycare, and I have the whole house to myself after 8:30 on Friday, every other Friday, and I'm off work that day, every other Friday. So I have the whole house that I can just go sit down and talk wrestling with a bunch of my friends on the internet, and that's the whole concept of that show. But yeah, I don't know. I'm addicted. I tell my girlfriend all the time, I'm addicted to creating. I'm addicted. Like if I have an idea, if I don't get the idea out and create it, it drives me insane.
That's something that I'm trying to proactively do.
Yeah.
Right. So I always have these ideas, and now I have all this equipment that I bought that I wasn't using. And now if I have an idea, I just want to do it. Same thing like you saw the other day. Like I just had an idea and it was bugging me. So I called Kevin and I was like, hey, you got time to meet up? I have an idea I want to see. And all it was is I knew it was probably never going to see the light of day, which I was fine with. Because
I'm sure it will.
To me, all it is I wanted to see if I could take what I had in my head and make it a reality.
Yeah.
And that was soothing to me. And
that's 50% of the problem solving.
Yeah.
And when you do that, like probably 60% of the stuff that I've ever done has never made me a penny.
No, you don't.
But everything, when I'll come up in a situation where I am getting paid or I am having to do something for somebody or for myself that's going to make it better or improve the overall product. And I take what I learned by doing the stuff that I didn't get paid for, that I just had fun doing.
Well, see,
and that's what gave me my knowledge of how to problem solve this issue that we're having.
Well, see, that's a thing that I don't think a lot of people, non-creative types, and I'm not saying that to be snobby, like the non-creatives out there.
You're snob.
The non-essentials, basically. The non-essentials
The non-essentials.
So this is the issue I run into a lot with. They're like, well, how much do you make off wrestling? How much are they paying you? It's like, well, news check. For 3 years, I didn't make a penny.
Yeah.
And it wasn't about the money. It was about happiness. This is what makes me happy. A lot of it is what makes you happy. You have to pay your dues, quote unquote, but you also have to prove yourself. What a lot of people come up to me because I've just recently made the transition or making the transition, however you want to word it. Like, well, how'd you do it? And I tell them about the amount of hours and the sacrifice, and they're like, well, I could probably show up before, but I have a job, so I couldn't stay behind. I was like, well, we all have jobs.
Yeah.
It's like you either love it or you don't, and that's fine. Like, you can show up, watch the show, and leave. That's what we all put in the work to do.
Yeah.
But it's
you have to earn it.
Yeah.
You can't bypass that. And the people that do bypass that, like sneak in,
they flame out.
They flame out very quickly, and we've seen that numerous times.
No, and that's one of the things so I came in and I had kind of a background in production a little bit, but I was fascinated by it. But what could I offer? I could offer loyalty, and I could offer hard work, and I could offer always saying yes. I had those three things going for me. And in the 5-6 years you've known me, I've always remained consistent with those three things.
Definitely.
I actually remember the first time I ever told you no, and I was like, this is it. This is my song dance.
I said, okay.
It was the most nerve-wracking thing.
When was it?
That was when you were wanting me to shoot ring cam for Pure, but I was already traumatized from doing it before when I was a lot bigger. So I was blocking everybody's view, and I was like, no, I'm not.
But you shot the headlocks for hospitals, didn't you?
Yeah, I also shot that too. But that was a bigger area. That wasn't like Hebron.
Yeah.
Well, Hebron, like back then, like I was a lot bigger. So all I was hearing is, Brad, and that's the bad part because everybody knows me. Yeah. So they're not just saying just
the bad thing is like
guy.
Dutch. Everybody knows Dutch because they tell him to get out of the way. But they have to fans have to understand that there's two parts to these shows. There's the live action part, and then there's the video aspect of it that we make money with afterwards.
Yeah.
So you have to have camera people.
Yeah, and then if you
I don't know, I guess because the seats are further back at WWE shows. The camera guys are right up on the ring, but the seats are further back; they can see over them.
Well, I've been to WWE.
Have you sat front row?
Huh? I haven't sat front row. I've been on the floor a few rows back.
Yeah,
that was the closest. But WWE, when you go there, they do not give a shit about the live crowd. It is all about TV crowd. That is all it's
the TV product.
There's things breaking your view constantly in your way where you can't see. They don't.
Oh, dude, me and Corky went to WrestleMania in Orlando. And we got to our seats, and I mean they were $600 tickets, and I don't want to say no. It was a trying to think of how to say this. It was payment in a form of listen, I can pay you, or I have these 2 tickets because me and my wife aren't going.
Oh, okay.
If you want them, and then I'll just take some money out of what I owe you if you guys want to go. And me and Corky were like, yeah, that's fine. Because once again, if they're already paid for and the person that brings me to every WrestleMania, if I can help him out financially if he needs it and he's got these 2 things, that way he doesn't have to come out of pocket and pay or come out of his profit and pay me, then that's fine. I'll go. Me and Corky will go. I'm with Corky. You can't go anywhere with Corky and not have a good time because all he's going to do is talk shit the entire time about people and everything. But we got to our seats, I mean, I'm glad I went because that was when the Hardys came back. That's when the Undertaker did his first like swan song where
I'm still
walks
mad.
out.
And after watching the last
I was
ride,
gonna say watch the documentary.
I get it once you watch the last ride, but to me, that folding up the jacket, putting the hat on top was the perfect ending. But
as a creative person, you can also understand that in that moment, you're done. But then when you watch it back, it's going to eat at you, especially with somebody like him. When I watched that thing, I was like, because I was very critical about it too. Yeah. And when I watched that documentary, I was like, okay, I get it. I get it.
And then like me, because I'm not a Roman Reigns fan. And it's not because it's popular to not be a Roman Reigns fan. He just doesn't do anything for me as a wrestler. There's nothing against him as a person. I don't know him as a person. As just his wrestling and me.
He's a good wrestler.
Yeah.
He's probably one of the best wrestlers. He just doesn't. Yeah. He doesn't wrestle your style that you like.
So, but I remember feeling like shit because like I was just watching the most recent episode and he's backstage and he looks devastated over what just happened in the ring. And that's the part that people don't think about is like these wrestlers. Majority of the time, if you're worth your weight, you care about what you put in the ring. You don't have a bad match and go backstage and like. Well, it happens. Get it next time. Like
especially on that level or on that stage.
Yeah, because it's not like you're in front of 97 people. You're in front of 97,000. So
what I like the most about those documentaries is not that it humanizes the wrestling business, but it shows people like you and me that they are no different than us.
Yeah, the weirdest thing to me was seeing Taker at whatever his age was still running the ropes.
Yeah,
still
running the ropes and taking that bump.
You wouldn't think that he would still have to do that after these years. It's still bare basics.
The same thing with Edge in the Edge documentary when he got the ring delivered and was doing little drills and this and that. It's wild to think. But I just like that it's crazy. And like once again, I think the most I've ever felt it was probably like Legend. Is like through this curtain is this insane stage with these people, and then you walk behind the curtain and it's just like
me, you,
normal, like
words.
And it's so crazy to watch like that Undertaker or any of those documentaries, and you see him like walk, like he goes down on a little ramp and you just saw this epic thing and he just steps down.
Well, see, on my phone still to this day is that picture of Liger that we saw through the smoking face. And that's one of those things.
Have we ever told that story on this podcast?
I haven't been on it. So
I might have, but we'll reiterate the story because I have someone else that witnessed it with me. Like when we had Liger in Charlotte, me and Brad.
Oh no, you did tell the story because you said that Kevin tapped you on the shoulder and I remember thinking like that wasn't Kevin, that was me. Kevin
it was Brad. Yeah. So that was before, because that was before Kevin started doing lights for us. But Kevin was there somewhere. But it was me. I remember it like it was yesterday. It was me, you. I was right here. You were right here.
Lindsay Snow, Savannah
Lindsay Snow was behind us,
Hector,
Savannah, and Chastity.
And Hector was back.
And Hector was with us. And we had sent out Ethan. We had sent out Skylar. And now it's time for Liger. And I'm during shows, I'm in the zone.
He's tunnel.
So unless somebody says something to me or tries to talk to me, which is usually fucking Corey Hollis, he'll be like, "Hey Patrick," and I'm like, "Yes, no, okay." Let me get back, and I usually miss something because he's talking to me. He's the world's worst at talking to me when I'm trying to live edit. But I'm just in my zone, and all of a sudden we're about to play Liger's music. We're letting it sit, and Brad taps me on the shoulder and points, and I look, and there's just fog, like the fog. A green light is like illuminating from the fog. And then you see just this silhouette of Liger.
And he's sitting there like a superhero.
And he's just standing there like a superhero. And he just stands there, doesn't move a muscle. And then like
no, he's leaving out the
best music
part.
Starts, and then he goes, "I am leaving it." What's the best part?
The best part is, so I've never seen Patrick mark out.
Yes.
But Patrick lost all kayfabe, all whatever you want to call it. He said, "Somebody take a fucking picture."
Yeah.
He was like, it was all of us just had our phones out. Like you could tell he was looking straight at us. He knew what was going on.
And he goes, and just walks and goes out, and it's the most amazing thing ever.
But that whole experience, that legend, and I don't know if I ever told you, I don't know if I ever told anybody, I actually had to pull over on the side of 77 driving home because I was so overwhelmed by emotion of what I experienced that day and that night. And that's what fed me more into, all right, this is a feeling, it's addicting. Like that feeling of achievement and accomplishment and knowing what I had put, like I showed up to the building at 8 a.m. and we left at like 2 a.m.
Yeah.
So, and knowing that, and then I got the invite from you guys for the New Japan Northeast Tour. And the Northeast Tour left a weird taste in my mouth because, you know, the
whole
story,
situation,
the whole situations, and I don't.
Which sucks so bad because that was such an experience.
See, but it drove me, right?
Yeah.
Because, so here's what, I'm not going to mention any names or delve into it because it's probably not the time or place.
No.
But the situations that happened and then the aftermath thereover, I was like, all right, well, now I have something to prove. So then Southeast Tour comes. Now it's not 3 shows, it's 5 shows. Now we're on the road.
Yes.
Now I have something to prove.
Now it's like we're doing this shit for a living.
Yeah. Now I have something to prove.
Yeah.
And it's like, all right, well, you didn't want me in the building last time.
Now you're like...
I'm going to show you why why you need me.
Yeah.
And on the very last show, I got a hug from that exact same person saying, thank you. I appreciate everything. You made my life so much easier. And that is something that drives me. And that's a feeling that I'm never going to forget because I had that in me. That's like, because I still remember that. A lot of people would take that like, man, you know what, they didn't appreciate me. I was like, no, I I deserve to be here.
Yeah.
And so I wanted to show that, and I feel like I achieved that.
Oh, yeah,
I
definitely.
was proud of that. I learned a lot on that tour.
Yeah.
Like,
that's the thing is, like, you have to, you have to jump into situations like that, even if you don't feel like you're ready, to make yourself understand that you are ready. Like, what that was for me was WrestleCon. I mean, the first time I ever did WrestleCon for Mike, it was before we ever did video walls. It was all audio, and I just had to make sure the show went good. And after that first year, the second year, Mike was like, all right, Patrick, you're in charge of the building that all the shows are in. So you're in charge of keeping the schedule. You're in charge of making sure they start on time, making sure they end on time. And then Seth will be doing the live edits and the live streaming. So you guys have to coordinate to make sure everything goes smooth. Because I'm going to be doing the convention. That was the first year they did like shows all day with the convention going on somewhere else.
Yeah.
And that's when, after that weekend, which was the second WrestleCon weekend I did, that's when I was like, the second WrestleCon weekend that I produced a lot of the shows, that's when I was like, okay, I can do this. And that's why I always give Mike a lot of credit to like Tyshawn Tyshawn was in a situation where I could help him. That's why I got the opportunities that I had. Because I had the company, I had the look that he wanted with my company, but he just didn't have the ability to get because nobody could do it except for, not saying nobody could do it except for me, but I have mastered the art of that look.
Yeah.
So when I quit and I came over to him, I shut down my company and joined the PWX team. I brought that look over with it. And then like when Brian bought it, Tyshawn's the one that told Brian, like, Patrick needs to be one of your secondhand guys. It was me and Jake. Like, these two guys need to be your secondhand guys. And then me and Brian just formed that bond, and I had that conversation with Brian. It's like, listen, I have a like something I told Ty that I have to live up to. I have to protect this company, the brand, not Tyshawn, not you, the PWX brand and the company. I have to do everything I can to make it as successful as possible because me, Zane, Jake, Caleb, Tyshawn, Mike, all these people put so much time and effort, and Mike and Tyshawn money, and now Brian, money to try to create this. And then I told Brian, I said, I have your back that I'm going to protect your money because there's going to be a lot of people, because it's professional wrestling, there's going to be a lot of people that try to abuse your money. They don't give a shit about you. They don't give a shit about your family. They don't give a shit about your income. They don't give a shit about your financial stability. They want to make their dreams come true, and they will use you and your checkbook to make it come true.
Yep.
They will abuse you. I will never abuse you. I will always make educated decisions for you. I will always try to point you in the right direction. I will always take care of you. That's why I stand where I am with Brian now. But the crazy thing about PWX is, like now I always think about, like, I'll put up a video on Facebook and I have like 130, 140 views, like like any podcast or anything. And I always like, man, is it worth it? I know I got to put in the time. I know I got to put in, like, got to just put content out to get people to watch and get people to pick it up. Is it really worth the time and effort that I'm putting in? And then I think about, like, I remember sitting in, like, the rec center right on rec center in, like, downtown Charlotte. It's like in the ghetto, and like 50 people being in the crowd at PWX shows.
Yeah.
With the fucking Briscoes and Rhett Titus on the show. And you're just like, okay. So I mean, I know it took 10, 12 years, but I'm there now. Like, my podcast is in that rec center in front of 50 people, like, just giving the best showing it can in front of this crowd.
Yeah, because you got to learn and grow.
Like, now, what can I do to get it to where, like, PWX is?
Yeah.
So there's always that growth that I'm looking for. But
to go back to your point where you came in and you're like, Brian, this is the look. You had a vision, project. And that's one thing that that always captivated me about PWX is the look and the professionalism.
Yeah.
And then now, knowing everybody, it's very protected. Me and Kevin Pierce specifically, because you're busy doing other things, but when we're setting up things, we're not easy to work with, but we work well together. Me, you, Kevin Pierce, we work together very well, and we're very particular about how things look and operate. And that's what a lot of people don't understand is I didn't take a job. I pretty much created a job with PWX because nobody sat next to you before I did. You were doing everything by yourself. And then there's...
Well, it's very hard for me to trust people.
Yeah.
Not because it's hard, like, I have trust issues. It's because I expect things to be a certain level of professionalism and, like, level of excellence.
Yeah, that's why I started, like, people will make fun of me, why are you wearing a dress slacks and a polo? I was like, well, I need to look the part. Everybody else that is back there, sitting back there, is in slacks and a polo.
I'll give you the background to why we do that. Is we were talking about, we had reached a certain level, and I'm trying to think of, like, the timeline of when it was. And because for the longest time, I'd show up in just, like, Adidas pants and a T-shirt and just work my ass off, be sweating like crazy, and a backwards hat and just whatever. And I think I remember the saying of, like, dress to the job that you want. Or people, like, the way you present yourself is the way people will take you. Yeah. So I've always been one. I was taught a long time ago, I think it was when I was in high school, that when you walk into a room, you can do one of two things. You can walk into a room and just be another person in the room, or you can walk into the room like you own the room. If you walk into the room like you own the room, people are going to take notice. And do you want people to take notice, or do you want to hide in the shadows? That's what you got to figure out. So that's why I've always, people say I have an ominence. Is that how you say it?
Aura?
Like aura. We'll say aura. That's not the word I was looking for, but we'll go with aura. Like, people say I have an aura about me when I walk into a room. Like, you can tell, oh, Patrick's here, you know? And it might be because I yell at you all the time and I cuss all the time. But, like, I've made it a point since I was, like, 17 or 18 that when I walk in a room, I'll look around and make sure people are looking at me. And that's not, like, an ego thing. It's just, like, listen, you need to, like, I'm important.
Yeah,
it sounds like an ego thing when I talk about it.
Well, but it makes sense because you should be respected. You put a lot of work in, and that's part of the reasons why for the first 3 years that I was helping out Brian, I never spoke to you. Yeah. I was like, that guy scares me, so I'm not going to say anything.
Good, I'm doing my job.
but no, that's one of the things people overlook about what I do is, like, that connection. Like, me and you work together, and I can make a mistake that I notice and you notice, but nobody else will notice, and I know I'm going to get yelled at for it, and you'll yell at me for it, but we just move on and work.
Yeah.
Or other people,
you got to learn.
Yeah, I mean, and then I'll talk to somebody. I was like, I messed up this one cue, and then they're like, what are you talking about? I was like, well, it's here. Yeah. But it's those minuscule things that make you better, right?
Yeah.
So I work the Little People show. I don't want to say the M word because I don't know, but so that guy
we're a politically correct podcast.
But that guy had no direction. That promoter, I was like, all right, so what am I?
What
He's
do
like,
you
just
want,
play
what do you
music. He's like, it's not serious. I was like, well, there's 1,000 people here.
Yeah.
I feel like if there was 1,000 people at one of our
insane.
shows.
That's the crazy thing is like people that are like that would draw like 1,000 people.
Yeah.
But people that are like so particular about how they want it and where they want it placed will draw like 200.
But literally, he came up to me after the show, and it was because of the stuff you taught me and the way you've trained me.
Yeah.
He was like, you're the best music guy I ever had. Would you want to do this for us? I was like, well, you only pay like $20, so.
Yeah, no.
I was like, I'm not traveling.
How much are we talking here?
I was like, I know which you want to talk about like getting over on people. 1,000 people at $25 a pop,
and he paid
you're
you
paying
$20. Just one person showed up and he paid you. He paid your salary, paid your payment for that night.
But it was a fun experience. I mean, that's the thing. Like, I don't do this for money. I'm lucky enough to be in the position where I have a job that pays my bills, but this is what makes me happy.
Yeah.
And
well, it's the thing about it is you'll get to the point if you continue on the road that you're on, you'll get to the point where you get the experiences and decent pay.
Yeah, that was the
and it doesn't come overnight.
No,
like I've learned that the hard way, in a sense of the things I've had to sacrifice to now get paid well when I do the New Japan tours or get paid well when I go do WrestleCon.
The Southeast tour for New Japan, like that was money that you could live off of.
Yeah, if I did it on a regular basis,
yeah, so
definitely.
It's that was kind of a spoiled, probably that's weirdly early in my wrestling career.
I don't know. You're what are you? 4 years in?
Yeah, but it's been with you guys, and I've helped other promotions. I've done sound for Turbo. I've redone the audio in Chester, and it's all because I want to help make things better for people.
Well, you become when you start doing stuff like that, you become like the most reliable. Like I remember there's a guy named Jeff Rudd that people in the wrestling industry know, like North Carolina wrestling might know, and he needed a video done for the show, the online show for their CWF. And he sent me a message and said, hey, would you be interested in doing this? I said, yeah, man. I'm always willing to help you guys out. You guys have always been good to me. I like you. Like you and Danny have always been awesome. Yeah. He goes, well, like you're probably the best video guy I know, like around here. And I was like, really? He's like, yeah. And I was like, I just do my thing. And it's weird because like I've known Jeff for years, and me and Jeff have had good times and we've had bad times. Like cussing and yelling at each other over the phone and at each other's face, and then like hugging each other at the end of a WrestleCon and saying, love you, dude. See you next year. I'll see you in a bit. I'll see you when I see you. But like when you help people, like William will always appreciate that. Like TK and Josh always appreciate the Turbo stuff. But then you start getting the reputation of like, this is a good dude to work with. And that's how, like, you then somebody a little bigger, then somebody this sounds so egotistical, and please don't make me sound like an asshole, or don't take it like I'm being an asshole. Where you lucked out, or it's the same thing I tell people that go and did their time at high spots and get the opportunities at high spots. Like, you put in the time at high spots, you'll get opportunities like at WrestleCon to work on stuff. For example, I'll give this example. Tommy, Maureen, I think like Montana, all of them got their flights taken care of and got paid to go work StarCast. All 3 StarCast. And reason being is because they worked at WrestleCon and they had knowledge of how to do a convention. And Conrad knew that, so Conrad hired them to do that. That's what I'm talking about. Like where you are is you got your foot in the right door, as in PWX. So the bad thing about that is because we're an established company. God, this sounds like I'm such an asshole. That anything you do outside of PWX, it feels like a step down. Does that make sense?
Which no, it's totally justifiable, right? Because PWX is at a certain level. So also the hard thing with that is it's hard. There's not much you can grow up to other than like the big boys. Yeah. So now that's where, like, and I don't want to shit on them because I don't know who they are. And for all I know, it's somebody I know. But whoever does the sound to AEW pisses me off so much because they cut the music at the wrong cues.
Yeah.
Like I remember Lance Archer, who I've played music for 5 times. No big deal.
Yeah.
But So his debut, he comes out, everybody dies. He gets up on the second rope like he does, going to everybody dies, and they cut the song before that last everybody dies.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and they continue to do it, and I'm like, that's not where you cut it.
No.
And last night at Double or
They
Nothing,
do it again?
Yeah, well, they cut the music when he laid out his first guy. I'm like, you don't cut the music when he lays out the. And like I said, I don't know because it's possible because
you have to educate yourself.
Yeah,
and there's got to be some kind of communication.
But where I have the benefit is like I have a relationship with a lot of these wrestlers, and I've watched them as a fan. Where what the shitty part for people like us is a lot of people running those jobs for like a WWE or AEW in Japan aren't even wrestling fans. They were just production people that landed with a TV company that then got slotted into a role.
Well, it's just like I remember the best advice I could give Dutch was what I learned from Jake Manning when me and Jake filmed for Ring of Honor was there was no producer there. We were filming it for DVD back when Ring of Honor DVDs were a big thing. And I remember I knew it before. Lagana reiterated it when he produced their iPay-per-view from Center Stage when we worked with him. But I remember Jake telling me like, best thing you can do is watch these guys' matches and know their move sets. Because if you know their setup and you know their move sets, you know where to position yourself. And that's the best advice I've ever got as a camera guy. Because then I watched Ring of Honor consistently until the next tour that I was on. And that next tour was lights like night and day to the one before it on how good of a camera person I was. Because I knew as soon as like somebody set up somewhere, I knew exactly what they were going to do. So I knew exactly, so I pictured in my mind exactly how I wanted to shoot it. And then I'd shoot it. And then everybody would be like, oh, this was so good. That was such a great shot, blah, 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 blah. And that's what I told Dutch. I said, listen, when you work for PWX, like just watch PWX shows and learn what these guys' movesets are. So you know whenever Skylar's beating up somebody and he's on the top rope and he gets him up, like he gets him up, he's going to do the Finley roll off the second rope. So that and like get their faces. Like a lot of what, and I shouldn't give this secret out, but I will.
Don't give it out. As your producer, I'm going to forbid it.
A lot of what people, the difference in a lot of what WWE does, which WWE's gotten better at it, but what AEW doesn't do, and what PWX does is like get facial reactions. Like so if somebody, in the way I cut it, if someone hits a move, instead of getting a wide shot of the move, I go to the camera like somebody's taking a suplex. I know most people sell when they hit, they'll come up and sell like, oh, and you get their face. So if someone's suplexing this way, I go to this camera because that camera's going to get their face when they sit back up. And now that I've told you that, you'll watch PWX shows and you'll say, oh, this is what he does. Oh, okay, this. Oh, okay, I see. Well, it's like I think the face tells the story. And when you see the series of Supremacy that's coming up on the PWX Facebook and YouTube and PWXpro.com, like you'll see a lot of that because we filmed it a cinematic style.
See, I think that would be incredible when people see. But I do have a question, and I'm not going to throw anybody under the bus because for all I know, it's people we know. But just say you're watching a pay-per-view put on by just a random company of
AEW.
No specific name, and their live director is not as good as you.
Kevin Sullivan.
Is he who live directs?
Yeah, for AEW.
Is he? Well, I'm not saying.
No, he's good.
I don't like his live.
I don't know. See, the thing, me and Kevin Kelly had this conversation. The typical edit handed down, I assume, by Kevin Dunn at WWE is ring cam, hard cam, ring cam. You never cut ring cam to ring cam. So it's ring cam, hard cam, ring cam. If you watch like Raw, SmackDown, I don't know if they still do it this way with no crowds, but it's always like if you're on right side ring cam, getting the shot, then it goes to hard cam, sits on hard cam for a few seconds, then it goes to the next ring cam. There's never ring cam unless they're outside, like doing the Braun Strowman run around or something simple like that. So I think that I mean, I don't watch. I'll watch some of the pay-per-view again, but I think Kevin has that style.
Well, see what he was doing.
But he was with Impact for so long, and I mean, a lot of people don't talk about Impact. Impact's editing and production value has been amazing probably for the last year.
Yeah, but what was driving me crazy last night, and it's become
they miss a lot of stuff on AEW.
Well, they miss it, but then like I understand how you can fat finger a button and you hit to the wrong camera, but there was like 7 times last night where he just hits to a camera that's on nothing except the back of somebody's T-shirt.
Yeah.
And it's like for 5 seconds. It's like one, I understand how you.
Also, you don't, with the pandemic going on, you don't know who's there and who's not. So they could have like fill-in camera people, because a lot of that comes down to the crew that you're working with. That's why, like when we worked the New Japan tour, I was so direct with, like, I need Cody in the team.
Yeah.
Because these guys, I can just say one word and they know what I need.
Yeah.
Like, then that's, if I had to go work with another team, it wouldn't be as good. And I think that's what that guy at Hammerstein, the guy that helped us, I think, what was his name? Michael, maybe? You know what I'm talking about?
I know who you're talking about.
The guy that worked the hard cam.
Yeah.
Like he was, I think that's why he's like, dude, if I'm ever in North Carolina, I'll work with you guys. I love working with you guys, because I think he learned that camaraderie from between all of us.
There is, and like that's where the tours help build that even stronger, right? So sorry to interrupt, not to throw Kevin Sullivan under the bus, because Kevin Sullivan is insanely good at what he does. And I mean, I have no issues with you, Kevin Sullivan. Like,
not that Kevin Sullivan.
Oh, okay, cool. I feel
it's another kid. I know it's the first time that I ever had to do anything with Impact.
I was like,
they were like Kevin Sullivan. I was like Taskmaster Kevin Sullivan. They're like,
I thought that's what you
that's
were
what
talking
Sanjay.
about.
It's like, no, it's another guy. He's a production guy named Kevin Sullivan. I know it's weird, but I've never like officially met him. Me and him have emailed back and forth a lot, but very, very talented, very good. But a lot of that blame does not need to go on him. It needs to go on communication. I think that's what AEW lacks. Is you got a lot of indie guys who got these big contracts who now think they're superstars, and they're not. And they're not humble enough to get with camera guys and get with commentary, because that's what lacks on their commentary.
Oh, no, I've heard.
You have 3 of probably the best commentators in our era of wrestling, in Tony Schiavone, Jim Ross, and Excalibur, and they're lost so much. They were lost. When I watched, they were lost so much during that pay-per-view last night.
Well, see, they are, and now it's funny because JR's gotten to the point in his career where he's not going to fake it for you.
No,
if he hates it, he'll be like,
"Oh yeah," and he should. That's a real aspect of a wrestling show that nobody else has. He needs to tell the truth,
because he'll like, you'll listen to him. He'll like now, psychology wise, tell me how that makes sense, and that's something we've never heard on.
The funniest thing last night is I was watching, or this morning I was rewatching the Stadium Stampede or whatever it was called. And Nick, one of the Jackson brothers, gets suplexed on the field, and Tony Schiavone goes, "Well, it's turf. It's real turf, guys." And Excalibur tries to save it. It's like, as opposed to what, Tony? And he goes, "Well, like AstroTurf. It's got concrete under it." He's like, "How about?" And Jim Ross is like, "Tony, how about you go out there and get suplexed on the real turf?" And Tony's like, "I'm just telling you guys, it's a little softer," and it's just like they're going back and forth. And I'm like, God Almighty! But I think there's a lack of communication with AEW, and it's all like that's the thing about opinions, and this is the thing that I'm really like. The whole situation with the Hannah girl is like, people are welcome to voice their opinions, but you need to understand that 90% of the opinions that are voiced have no fucking idea about the situation involved or the details that cause that or this or that. A, and B, if you want to be mean, just fuck off.
Yeah, it's like
why?
Like there's people we've seen it in our scene, right? Like I have enemies just because I'm a fan of PWX, and I'm like, that's stupid to me. And like they're like, I'm a fan of this company, and you're a fan of this. I'm like, no, I'm a fan of all the companies. Yeah. Like I don't care. It's like I don't go to certain promotions because I don't want a problem.
That's why it's so funny when people say, "Well, you want us to fail." No, I don't. I want me and my company to succeed. And if this is the way my mind works. I want everybody, I've said this numerous times on many podcasts and other platforms. If you're doing what you love to do, I want you to find success in that, because that is the ultimate like happiness that you can do, that you can find, is A, have a loving family that I truly believe, and B, do something you love to do for like a living or a job, or you're able to do it on a like relatively frequent basis. So like I look at all these companies, even the companies that hate us, or hate PWX, or hate me and Brian, and I'm like, I don't care how you feel about me. Just go make your company successful. Instead of trying to tear down my company, use that energy to make your company successful.
And to be fair, like, people have used that to build their companies. Like,
but
and it's worked. But I mean,
that's the Yankee syndrome. That's when you're the Yankees, people try to knock you down.
They use you to get a rub,
and
it's fine. But there's a thing where, all right, I remember 5 years ago, there was like, I don't want to say no drama because I was really new, but like fan drama was really minimal. But then it got to the point where there was a group of us, and like, I'm easily triggered. I was back then.
Yeah.
I was like, I could be like, all right, if you want to be an asshole, I can now asshole you, and we'll do that. Now, because I wasn't associated with a company. Now that I'm associated with companies, I watch what I say, and I don't even respond to things because I'm like, well, now people will see it and relate it to here. But that whole thing was stupid to me. Like, I don't have any ill feelings towards any of these people. I'll shake their hand, but I'm also still baffled about how it's like, oh, it's you versus us, it's us versus them. It's like, no, it's not. It's like there's rival companies. It's fun to have a rivalry, but it's not WWE versus WCW. There's not 10 million people watching product 1 and product 2. I'm like, we're all just people here to have a fun and have a good time.
It's just like the saying of everybody, not one person's experience with you will be the same.
Yeah.
So one person might tell you I'm the greatest guy on the face of the earth. This other person might tell you I'm the biggest asshole on the face of the earth.
Oh, more people
and
not tell me you're the biggest asshole.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. But it's a matter of what you bring to the table for me, or the way you came at me. And if you come at me trying to get something out of me and you don't deserve it, I'm not going to give it to you.
Yeah.
So if, like, for instance, this situation, there's one person that really doesn't like me and Brian that's like states away and continuously tries to cause a stir, use us to get views on his YouTube video, like, and promotes like negative stuff, all based on an apparent opinion of an experience that another person had. So your hatred is based on another person's explanation that is wrong, and we've told them numerous times that it's wrong, but they've dug it in their head, so they've created an agenda that you've jumped on.
Yeah.
So now you're no different than somebody who watches fucking CNN, and they say, and you have no knowledge of a situation at all, and they say that Trump's a piece of shit, and you're like, fuck Trump. You know what I mean?
But you're not
or on the same end, you're the person that watches Fox News, has no knowledge of Trump or Biden at all. And on Fox News they say Biden's fucking crazy and he's a pedophile. And then you say, yep, and you're like, we're gonna go with that. I'm gonna post this shit on social media right now. It's like, motherfucker, educate yourself. And I've always been one that if I did something wrong to you, if this person has an issue with me or Brian, if Brian doesn't answer his phone, call me. I will more than likely clear up any miscommunication with you. And if I was in the wrong, I will admit I was in the wrong, and I will apologize, and I will do everything I can to make it right. I've done that numerous times with numerous people. But you don't even do that. You want to. You're no better than these assholes that put shit on the internet and that pushes someone to take their own life.
Yeah. And see, and it's not even just fans. Like, I've had a situation with a wrestler that's no longer in the area that he attacked me and heck for whatever reason, just because we had a podcast that he didn't like. So then that blew up into a whole situation where I wasn't even allowed at a promotion for like a year. And now that's like, I don't have any grudge towards that.
Well, the thing about it is he attacks you guys by going on another podcast and talking shit. So he attacks you the same way that he's pissed that he thinks you attacked him. But it's the stupidest, most childish thing ever.
And it's so funny because wrestling is supposed to make us all happy, but then we let all this petty shit. I've been guilty of it, and I'm a lot better of it now. But like, we just got to get to a point where we're all being better to each other.
Well, what happened to? Listen, no one, not even Vince McMahon, from a wrestling perspective, owns the world of professional wrestling.
Yeah.
Like the beauty of professional wrestling is there's a guy I've met once, I wish I could remember his name, that has an artistic mind that created this thing called Keiju Big Battle, where a bunch of damn like robots and shit bust up a cardboard city that's in a ring. And it's like that Rampage game. You remember that Rampage game? That's what it's like.
I've seen that.
It's the most entertaining thing on the face of the earth. And if this guy can have this artistic mind and create something like this that people enjoy, then there's no reason you can't create a company that you want to create and just mind your own business. Like, just go be successful in your company. Like, because you lose. I tell Brian that all the time, because Brian does get on a roll sometimes and try to go after, like, have these bad opinions about other companies and stuff. And I say, listen, what these other companies do don't mean jack shit to us. All we need is people to pay a ticket, buy our on-demand stuff, and buy merchandise.
Yeah.
And we need to be able to pay the guys, give these guys a place to work where they feel like they're getting better. They feel like they're getting matches that they can showcase their talents, that they can send out and get them signed somewhere. And we need to like continue to provide the best wrestling in the Southeast to our fan base and to all the people that watch it around the world.
And the most confusing thing to me is, like, when did we as a culture move on from, all right, say you come to a PWX show and you don't like it.
Mm-hmm.
Why not just not come back?
Oh yeah, you have
to shit on it. Not just say I didn't like it, but now because of social media, oh, this sucks. They're joking.
It's because because everybody thinks their opinion matters, and I'm sorry, it doesn't. Your opinion doesn't matter. If I go to a concert that I was really looking forward to and it didn't deliver, if I go online and I say, listen, went and saw the Bare Naked Ladies tonight. Wish I would have saw them 15 years ago. It just didn't feel like the real what Bare Naked Ladies used to be.
Bare Naked Ladies is the most disappointing concert because when you go, you have a completely different like when I first heard the band name, I'm like, oh, I'm gonna look them up just because. Like,
shut up. But like, there was 20,000 people at that concert. I'm one person. As much as I want to think my opinion matters, it doesn't. So don't. Like, if you have an issue with like spending like the money you spent, or you don't think you got your, like, that's something you need. Like, what happened to people coming up to the people responsible and talking to them face to face? That's a better question. What happened to people having balls or guts, or just the respect of coming up to me or Brian and saying, listen, I didn't like this. If we did something on a show that offended somebody, I have no problem someone coming up to me and saying, listen, Patrick, I really didn't appreciate this. And I'm not going to blow them off. I'm going to find out why they felt this way. And if they have a legitimate point and it's not based on some kind of other mindset that might not be that we might not agree with or might not be appropriate, then I will take it into consideration. I will never, ever let something like that happen on our show again, with my knowledge. It's that easy. And it's not about go online and write a damn essay that people are going to pinpoint out and then write an article on a news site about, and then that's what makes you feel like that you're important in the world.
Well, see, why people don't like confrontation is, like, say it's me and you one-on-one, and you're right and I'm wrong, and I know that. But on social media, you can go on there and you get your cheerleaders and your friends that'll prep you up. You're like, oh, yeah. And so that's helped it. A part of the reason why me and you work together and why me and Brian work together well, and me and Kevin Pierce, is like, if there's an issue, we go up to each other. Oh,
it's the culture that we build around on our team.
Yeah.
People can approach each other, can call people out, but we don't call people out to embarrass them or to shame them. We call people out to teach them.
Yeah, and to hold each other accountable.
And that's the reason. Sorry to interrupt you again. That's the reason that I can show up at a show and not have to worry about the stage getting set up, or the sound getting set up, or the video board, or the videos getting set up, or the screens getting set up. I can go there, have the meetings I need to have, talk to the booking committee, talk to the wrestlers if they have any questions, and then when it's time to get started, check audio levels and go.
Yeah,
I don't have to do anything else.
And
the reason that is because we've built a team with open communication, and people have learned from mistakes, and we taught each other. Like you've taught me, Kevin's taught me. Kevin Jordan's taught me. Brian's taught me. I've taught all of you guys. Everybody on that team brings something different to the table that they teach person. And that's why we roll so easily and so well together.
And that's where I was going to tie it into like the whole.
Sorry, I stole that from you.
No, you're fine. You're more well spoken than I am. Like
sometimes.
Sometimes, but like that's where I wish people would just get back to. It's like don't post something on social media and then message me in a DM something completely different.
Yeah.
Because then that's when I'm going to have
an issue with it.
An issue.
Yeah.
Just come up to me as a person and like hell, me and Ethan Case. I'll just say me and Ethan Case didn't get along for a while because of a situation. Me and Ethan Case get along great now because we finally talked it out like two grown adults.
Whenever you sit and talk to somebody, 99.9% of the time, it's because of ill-informed information or miscommunication.
Yeah.
That's it.
And when you just said that a lot of this stuff, the petty drama, a lot of the cyberbullying are just people that are sad individuals and human beings that need attention. I know we're probably running over on time. It felt like it.
We are. We're about to take it home.
That's your
new show.
New show.
Wrestling Open Forum.
Every other Friday.
WrestlingOpenForum.com. Be up tomorrow.
Well, it's not. Tomorrow's not Friday.
It'll be up the Monday before this airs.
Something like that.
Yeah. I'm still getting used to telling people dates on these.
I know, because you have to retroactively say it.
Because
this is like.
I do it all the time. Like this Saturday. But what if somebody watches it the next? I had this whole discussion on Wrestling Open Forum. It's like, if I say this Saturday, what if somebody watches it next week? Then they're going to think it's like the next Saturday. Then they're going to tune in and it's not even the subjects that we talked about.
Like
what the hell? Yeah, what the hell's going on? Yeah. Guess what, guys? We filmed these over the course of the week and then released them on a Tuesday. That's how this works.
Speaker's going to be so disappointed. This isn't live?
What? But yeah. But I guess to wrap it all up, our message to the world on this podcast is
be good to each other.
Be good to each other. Be positive. Rest in peace, Hannah.
Man, that is just such a 22 years
Dude,
old.
And she's like a beautiful girl with like a ridiculous career ahead of her.
And it's because of stupid.
It shows you how
words matter. They say
words matter. Yes.
Because we grew up, sticks and stones may break my
bones, but words never hurt me. They do.
They do. They cut you, and it's a sad situation. I don't want to see it. Like, I know there's probably people watching this that deal with the same type of stuff, and I'm not going to be one of those people. Well, please reach out to somebody. Reach out, do whatever you need.
How about we create a
culture
where there's no need for that, because we don't preach hate and negativity online. That's all online stuff is now.
Like, I hope we get to a point where people are looking back like we're in the history books and be like, can you believe these people were just assholes?
So negative.
Like,
I don't know, but all in all, be good to each other. Cheers to Chewsday. Thank you, bro.
Thank you for listening to the Chewsday Special Podcast. Find all of our old episodes at ChewsdaySpecials.com.
That's ChewsdaySpecial.com.
Yeah, whatever. I don't care.
All right. Thank you.